11 Vayigash He approached. Vayigash, he approached. Parashah 11 Vayigash, he approached. Torah Bereshit Genesis 44:18 47:27, Haftarah Yechezk'el, Ezekiel 37:15-28, Pirit Hadashah Acts 7:9-16, specifically VV 13:15. Torah Bereshit Genesis 44:18 47:27 44:18. Then Yehuda approached Joseph and said, "Please, my lord, let your servant say something to you privately, and don't be angry with your servant, for you are like Pharaoh himself." My lord asked his servants, "Do you have a father, or a brother?" We answered, "My lord, we have a father who is an old man, and a child of his old age, a little one whose brother is dead, so that of his mother's children he alone is left, and his father loves him. But you said to your servants, 'Bring him down to me, so that I can see him.' We answered, 'My lord, the boy can't leave his father. If he were to leave his father would die.' You said to your servants, 'You will not see my face again unless your brother is with you.' We went up to your servant my father and told him what my lord had said. But when our father said, 'Go again, and buy us some food,' we answered, 'We can't go down. Only if our youngest brother is with us will we go down, because we can't see the man's face unless our youngest brother is with us.' Then your servant my father said to us, 'You know that my wife bore me 2 sons. The one went out from me, and I said, surely he has been torn to pieces, and I haven't seen him since. Now if you take this one away from me too, and something happens to him, you will bring my grey hair down to Sheol with grief. So now if I go to your servant my father, and the boy isn't with us, seeing how his heart is bound up with the boy's heart when he sees that the boy isn't with us, he will die, and your servants will bring the grey hair of your servant our father down to Sheol with grief, for your servant himself guaranteed his safety.' I said, 'If I fail to bring him to you, then I will bear the blame before my father forever. Therefore, I beg you, let your servant stay as a slave to my lord instead of the boy, and let the boy go up with his brothers. For how can I go up to my father if the boy isn't with me?' I couldn't bear to see my father so overwhelmed by anguish. 45:1 At last Joseph could no longer control his feelings in front of his attendants and cried, 'Get everybody away from me.' So no one else was with him when Joseph revealed to his brothers who he was. He wept aloud, and the Egyptians heard, and Pharaoh's household heard. Joseph said to his brothers, 'I am Joseph. Is it true that my father is still alive?' His brothers couldn't answer him. They were so dumbfounded at seeing him. Joseph said to his brothers, 'Please, come closer,' and they came closer. He said, 'I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. But don't be sad that you sold me into slavery here or angry at yourselves, because it was God who sent me ahead of you to preserve life. The famine has been over the land for the last 2 years, and for yet another 5 years there will be neither plowing nor harvest. God sent me ahead of you to ensure that you will have descendants on earth and to save your lives in a great deliverance. So it was not you who sent me here, but God. And he has made me a father to Pharaoh, lord of all his household and ruler over the whole land of Egypt. Hurry, go up to my father, and tell him, here is what your son Joseph says: God has made me lord of all Egypt. Come down to me, don't delay. You will live in the land of Goshen and be near me, you, your children, your grandchildren, flocks, herds, everything you own. I will provide for you there, so that you won't become poverty-stricken, you, your household and all that you have, because 5 years of famine are yet to come. Here, your own eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that it is my own mouth speaking to you. Tell my father how honored I am in Egypt and everything you have seen, and quickly bring my father down here.' Then he embraced his brother Benjamin and Benjamin wept on his neck, and he kissed all his brothers and wept on them. After that, his brothers talked with him. The report of this reached Pharaoh's house. Joseph's brothers have come, and Pharaoh and his servants were pleased. Pharaoh said to Joseph, 'Tell your brothers, here is what you are to do. Load up your animals, go to the land of Canaan, take your father and your families, and come back to me. I will give you good property in Egypt, and you will eat the fat of the land. Moreover, and this is an order to this, take wagons from the land of Egypt to carry your little ones and your wives, and bring your father, and come. Don't worry about your stuff, because everything good in the land of Egypt is yours.' The sons of Israel acted accordingly. And Joseph gave them wagons, as Pharaoh had ordered, and gave them provisions for their journey. To each of them he gave a set of new clothes. But to Benjamin he gave 7.5 pounds of silver and 5 sets of new clothes. Likewise, to his father he sent 10 donkeys loaded with the finest goods Egypt produced, as well as 10 female donkeys loaded with grain. bread and food for his father to eat on the return journey. Thus he sent his brothers on their way, and they left. He said to them, "Don't quarrel among yourselves while you're traveling." So they went up out of Egypt, entered the land of Canaan and came to Yaakov their father. They told him, "Joseph is still alive. He is ruler over the whole land of Egypt." He was stunned at the news. He couldn't believe them, so they reported to him everything Joseph had said to them. But it was only when he saw the wagons which Joseph had sent to carry him that the spirit of Yaakov their father began to revive. Israel said, "Enough, my son Joseph is still alive. I must go and see him before I die." 46:1 Israel took everything he owned with him on his journey. He arrived at Beersheba and offered sacrifices to the God of his father Yechezk'el. In a vision at night God called to Israel, "Yaakov, Yaakov." He answered, "Here I am." He said, "I am God, the God of your father. Don't be afraid to go down to Egypt. It is there that I will make you into a great nation. Not only will I go down with you to Egypt, but I will also bring you back here again, after Joseph has closed your eyes." So Yaakov left Beersheba. The sons of Israel brought Yaakov their father, their little ones and their wives in the wagons Pharaoh had sent to carry them. They took their cattle and their possessions which they had acquired in the land of Canaan and arrived in Egypt. Yaakov and all his descendants with him, his sons, grandsons, daughters, granddaughters and all his descendants he brought with him into Egypt. These are the names of Israel's children who came into Egypt: Yaakov and his sons Reuben, Yaakov's firstborn. And the sons of Reuben, Hanok, Palu, Hetzron and Carmi. The sons of Shimon, Wemuel, Yamin, Ahud, Yakin, Tsocha and Shaul the son of a Canaanite woman. The sons of Levi, Gershon, Kehat and Imreri. The sons of Yehuda, Onan, Shelah, Peretz and Zerach. Peter and Onan died in the land of Canaan. The sons of Peretz were Hetzron and Hamal. The sons of Yisachar, Tola, Puva, Yov and Shimron. The sons of Zedvul, Sered, Elon and Yachleel. These were the children of Leah whom she bore to Yaakov in Paddan Aram, with his daughter Dinah. In sum, his sons and daughters numbered 33, the sons of Gad, Siphion, Hagli, Shuni, Etzban, Eri, Erodi and Ereli. The children of Asher, Yimna, Yishva, Yishvi, Beriah, and their sister Serach. The sons of Beriah were Hever and Malkiel. These were the children of Zilpah, whom Laban gave to Leah his daughter. She bore them to Yaakov 16 people. The sons of Rachel, Yaakov's wife, Joseph and Benjamin. To Joseph in the land of Egypt were born Manasseh and Ephraim, whom Osnat the daughter of Potiphar a priest of On bore to him. The sons of Benjamin, Bela, Becher, Ashbel, Jerah, Naaman, Echi, Rosh, Mupim, Hupim and Dud. These were the children of Rachel who were born to Yaakov in sum, 14 people. The sons of Dan, Hushim. The sons of Naphtali, Yachzeel, Guni, Yetzer and Shillem. These were the sons of Bela, whom Laban gave to Rachel his daughter. She bore them to Yaakov in sum, 7 people. All the people belonging to Yaakov coming into Egypt, his direct descendants not counting Yaakov's sons' wives, totaled 66. The sons of Joseph, born to him in Egypt, were 2 in number. Thus all the people in Yaakov's family who entered Egypt numbered 70. Yaakov sent Yehuda ahead of him to Joseph, so that the latter might guide him on the road to Goshen. Thus they arrived in the land of Goshen. Joseph prepared his chariot and went up to Goshen to meet Israel his father. He presented himself to him, embraced him and wept on his neck for a long time. Then Israel said to Joseph, "Now I can die, because I have seen your face and seen that you are still alive." Joseph said to his brothers and his father's family, "I'm going up to tell Pharaoh. I'll say to him, my brothers and my father's family, who were in the land of Canaan, have come to me. The men are shepherds and keepers of livestock. They have brought their flocks, their herds and all their possessions. Now when Pharaoh summons you and asks, 'What is your occupation?' tell him, 'Your servants who have been keepers of livestock from our youth until now, both we and our ancestors.' This will ensure that you will alive in the land of Goshen, for any shepherd is abhorrent to the Egyptians." 47:1 Then Joseph went in and told Pharaoh, "My father and brothers have come from the land of Canaan with their flocks, livestock and all their possessions. Right now they are in the land of Goshen." He took 5 of his brothers and presented them to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to his brothers, "What is your occupation?" They answered Pharaoh, "Your servants are shepherds, both we and our ancestors," and added, "We have come to live in the land. Because in the land of Canaan there is no place to pasture your servants' flocks, the famine is so severe there. Therefore, please, let your servants live in the land of Goshen." Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Your father and brothers have come to you, and the land of Egypt lies before you. Have your father and brothers live on the best property in the country, let them live in the land of Goshen. Moreover, if you know that some of them are particularly competent, put them in charge of my livestock. Yosef then brought in Yaakov his father and presented him to Pharaoh, and Yaakov blessed Pharaoh. Pharaoh asked Yaakov, "How old are you?" And Yaakov replied, "The time of my stay on earth has been 130 years, they have been few and difficult, fewer than the years my ancestors lived." Then Yaakov blessed Pharaoh and left his presence. Yosef found a place for his father and brothers and gave them property in the land of Egypt, in the best region of the country, in the land of Ramses, as Pharaoh had ordered. Yosef provided food for his father, his brothers and all his father's household, taking full care of even the youngest. There was no food anywhere, for the famine was very severe, so that both Egypt and Canaan grew weak from hunger. Yosef collected all the money there was in Egypt and Canaan in exchange for the grain they bought, and put the money in Pharaoh's treasury. When all the money in Egypt had been spent, and likewise in Canaan, all the Egyptians approached Yosef and said, "Give us something to eat, even though we have no money. Why should we die before your eyes?" Yosef replied, "Give me your livestock. If you don't have money, I will give you food in exchange for your livestock." So they brought Yosef their livestock, and Yosef gave them food in exchange for the horses, flocks, cattle and donkeys. All that year he provided them with food in exchange for all their livestock. When that year was over, they approached Yosef again and said to him, "We won't hide from my lord that all our money is spent, and the herds of livestock belong to my lord. We have nothing left, as my lord can see, but our bodies and our land. Why should we die before your eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for food, and we and our land will be enslaved to Pharaoh, but also give us seed to plant, so that we can stay alive and not die, and so that the land won't become barren." So Yosef acquired all the land in Egypt for Pharaoh, as one by one the Egyptians sold their fields, because the famine weighed on them so severely. Thus the land became the property of Pharaoh. As for the people, he reduced them to serfdom city by city, from one end of Egypt's territory to the other. Only the priests' land did he not acquire, because the priests were entitled to provisions from Pharaoh, and they ate from what Pharaoh provided them. Therefore, they did not sell their land. Then Yosef said to the people, "As of today I have acquired you and your land for Pharaoh. Here is seed for you to sow the land. When harvest time comes, you are to give 20% to Pharaoh. 80% will be yours to keep for seed to plant in the fields, as well as for your food and for that of your households and your little ones." "Mafti," they replied, "you have saved our lives, so if it pleases my lord, we will be Pharaoh's slaves." Yosef made it a law for the country of Egypt, valid to this day, that Pharaoh should have 20%. Only the property belonging to the priests did not become Pharaoh's. Israel lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. They acquired possessions in it and were productive, and their numbers multiplied greatly. Haftarah Yechezk'el, Ezekiel, 37:15-28. 37:15 The word of Adonai came to me, "You, human being, take one stick and write on it, for Yehuda and those joined with him, among the people of Israel. Next, take another stick and write on it, for Yosef, the stick of Ephraim, and all the house of Israel who are joined with him. Finally, bring them together into a single stick, so that they become one in your hand. When your people ask you what all this means, tell them that Adonai Elohim says this: I will take the stick of Yosef, which is in the hand of Ephraim, together with the tribes of Israel who are joined with him, and put them together with the stick of Yehuda and make them a single stick, so that they become one in my hand. The sticks on which you write are to be in your hand as they watch. Then say to them that Adonai Elohim says, I will take the people of Israel from among the nations where they have gone and gather them from every side and bring them back to their own land. I will make them one nation in the land, on the mountains of Israel, and one king will be king for all of them. They will no longer be two nations, and they will never again be divided into two kingdoms. They will never again defile themselves with their idols, their detestable things, or any of their transgressions, but I will save them from all the places where they have been living and sinning. And I will cleanse them, so that they will be my people, and I will be their God. My servant David will be king over them, and all of them will have one shepherd. They will live by my rulings and keep and observe my regulations. They will live in the land I gave to Yaakov my servant, where your ancestors lived. They will live there, they, their children, and their grandchildren, forever, and David my servant will be their leader forever. I will make a covenant of peace with them, an everlasting covenant. I will give to them, increase their numbers, and set my sanctuary among them forever. My home will be with them, I will be their God, and they will be my people. The nations will know that I am Adonai, who sets Israel apart as holy, when my sanctuary is with them forever. Pirit Hadashah Acts 7:9-16, specifically VV 13:15. 7:9 Now the patriarchs grew jealous of Joseph and sold him into slavery in Egypt, but Adonai was with him. He rescued him from all his troubles and gave him favor and wisdom before Pharaoh, king of Egypt, who appointed him chief administrator over Egypt and over all his household. Now there came a famine that caused much suffering throughout Egypt and Canaan, but when Yaakov heard that there was grain in Egypt, he sent our fathers there the first time. The second time, Joseph revealed his identity to his brothers, and Joseph's family became known to Pharaoh. Joseph then sent for his father Yaakov and all his relatives, 75 people. And Yaakov went down to Egypt, there he died, as did our other ancestors. Their bodies were removed to Shechem and buried in the tomb Abraham had bought from the family of Hamor in Shechem for a certain sum of money.